Right, hello. We thought we'd do another video again because the other one did really well. We're on the way to drop a bike back, but yeah, we thought we'd do a little video, and it's about kind of like how we're going to sort of like, or try to encourage new riders, because we know we're a dying population, aren't we?
Absolutely. I mean, from the last video, great response in the comments. But the main point of that was the ageing demographic. It
is definitely a bit tricky because there's not really good. I mean, there's not a lot of good selling points anymore, is there? Especially now it's winter as well, or winter's upon us. We've had snow this past week and been very, very cold. So, do you want to go out to work and have to get freezing cold, possibly slip off and hurt yourself?
Well, I don't do that now, so no, I wouldn't.
No, but you know, there's a lot of 17-year-olds out there who would probably say a car's too expensive.
Yeah, but as we said last time, even bikes are expensive. So I think the first thing, whether you want to ride a bike or want to go out in the cold, I think the first thing that manufacturers need to look at is an entry-level price.
It's too expensive. The barrier to entry is too expensive. Even like, I think the government just hate bikers because it's just like, it's so hard to get a full bike license now as well, like, compared to a car one.
Absolutely. I mean, the hoops you have to jump through now. I mean, I did direct access straight through, no problem. But now you've got mod 1, mod 2, this, that. You know.
Also, the age limit.
Yeah, the age limit as well.
So, do you know what the age limit is?
25. I don't know. 24?
It's like 24. Yeah. And then if you pass before that, then I had a friend who passed his test when he was like 20. So he was stuck on like up to. No, he originally passed on a 125, so he had a full license on a 125.
Yeah, because you could do that back in the day.
Yeah, so he had a full license on a 125. And then he had to take it again for when then he got his A2 or whatever. Then he had to take it again. So he's done his motorbike test 3 times.
Well, years ago, I'm sure, I could be wrong, but please correct me, that you used to be able to, if you're over a certain age, you had a 125, you take your full test on that bike, and then as you age, you can upgrade your bike.
Yeah, that's what I did, yeah. So I took my test, and then 2 years later, it unlocked to a full licence. Yeah. Because you're only restricted to the 33 brake horsepower limit for the first 2 years.
That's correct. And
then I was given the full A category thing. Yeah. So, which is fine for me, because, whatever, but it was okay, but then changing it, so it's like, no, you'd have to take your test again. So it is very expensive to take a test.
Yeah, I mean,
CBT, 200 quid, 150 to 200 quid to do a CBT.
Yeah.
Then you've got to do your paperwork licence, there's another 30, paper licence, the theory licence, 30 quid. Then you've got to do mod 1, which is, I think, 30 quid now, isn't it? Yeah. And then your actual test is what, 60 or 70 or maybe 80 now. Yeah. To do the actual mod 2, and then you've got your license that will be for your age group. So if you're 25, then good, and then you can have access to whatever you wanted. But
I think you can break it down into 3 categories, can't you? The problems you've got: the cost of a license, you've got the cost of the bike, and you've got the cost of the insurance.
Or you can get a car license, theory test, practical test, job done.
Yeah, true. Although we say there's no new bikers coming through, I recently sold a scooter, as you know, to a lovely little 17-year-old girl that's going to use it to go backwards and forwards to college.
That's exactly what that's exactly what you want them for, isn't it? Just the cheap commuter.
And I think that's where the younger people will get on a scooter. Or a 125, and that's to get backwards and forwards to college, etc., etc. Or the only young people that I see riding now are on CBTs because they're delivery drivers.
Yeah, there's a lot of
riders. Sorry,
a lot of riders doing Deliveroos or whatever. But if that's going to be the only form of new bikers we're getting in here, it's because it's a sad state of affairs we're in. But there's a lot of people who only own the bikes just for that weekend out, so they are only like a toy, or they're perceived to be a toy.
Yeah, I mean, I could fall into that category slightly. I mean, you use yours every day.
Not always.
No, not always.
I can do it every day, but
I mean, you haven't got the luxury of a car. I have, and for me, putting all that gear on just to ride 10 minutes to work is not worth it for me. And I'm a seasoned rider, but I will do big trips every year, multiple trips, but I don't ride every day.
No, but there's a lot of downsides though to biking, and I don't want to say like all the negatives because then, but no one's going to watch this video who wants to get into biking. They won't bother even seeing this. But there's a lot of downsides to biking, so I don't always take my bike out to go places because it's like because of the chance of it getting nicked sort of thing. So I don't do that with some of my bikes, so I end up just, even for like just going to the shops and stuff, I'll take the BMW because that's got an immobiliser alarm. It's ugly and it's heavy and no one wants to nick it.
Absolutely right. I mean, the state of affairs in this country with the way the bike fares, I mean, that's another thing that would put anybody off. You can just pick up a 125 and walk off with it. So why would a young person want to, work hard, with their paper rounds or whatever young people do nowadays to, save their money and buy a bike, and then it gets stolen? You hear of, I mean, I won't use a Premier Inn or a what's the other hotels, any chain of hotels if I'm on a bike trip, because we are notoriously get bikes stolen outside of Premier Inns. Happens all the time.
That vans get broken into as well.
Vans get broken into, bikes get stolen. You hear it on all over Facebook. Foreign riders come over, they stay in a Premier Inn for the night, wake up, their BMW's gone. But you don't get that on the continent. So that's another, nail in the coffin for wanting to ride in this country or own the bike, is theft. Yeah,
I was in the middle of Hungary, right?
Starving.
I was hungry, and I parked my bike up. All my kit was on the bike. All my kit, passport, everything was on the bike. Right, literally everything was on the bike, and I went into a solarium, natural hot springs.
Yeah.
Did the hot for a few hours and all that. Came back out to the bike. I'd even left the keys in the ignition.
As you do.
I even left the keys in the ignition. I was like, like nothing was locked. Everything was just strapped to the bike. Still, the helmet was just resting on the mirror. Like left it just on the mirror. Didn't lock it to the bike or anything. I was like, I didn't think straight there, did I?
No. Well, I think the UK has its fair share of scrotums that are willing to steal everything. That's the problem. So yeah, you've got the cost of the bike, the fact it might get stolen, the cost of the insurance, and the cost of the test.
So all the negatives. But what encouraged you to get a bike?
Well, I suppose, like we said before, I didn't know the feeling you get until I got a bike. Well, I think when I did it, it was cheap.
That's the only reason I got a bike.
Yeah, it was cheap back in the day.
I needed a vehicle to get to and from work. The bus was like, I can get an hour to take a bus for an hour, or it's a 10-minute drive.
Well, I once calculated when I had I think it was a Honda Vision 110, I worked out it was cheaper than walking to have a Honda Vision 110 for a year. Because...
Time is money?
Well, no, it wasn't even about that. It was the amount of petrol that it used. The insurance was £80 a year. A CBT, if I took one, because I had a full licence, would have been £80 back then. But you can't do that miles to the gallon on foot without drinking God knows how many bottles.
Well, how many cigarettes would you smoke on the way as well?
Oh yeah, good point. But if you took the cigarettes out of it, a litre of fizzy pop is more than a litre of petrol. So it worked out cheaper to ride a moped than it does to walk. Shoes ain't cheap. But that's what got me into it.
Yeah,
just the cheap commute.
Yeah, just the cheap commute.
Because it was 80 quid for a CBT. It was, £100, £200 to insure a bike, even at 20 or younger. So it was a no-brainer. Bus fare £3 each way. It's cheaper. Definitely.
So getting people into bikes, it needs to be a sort of. So how much would you pay? Would you say a brand new 125cc bike should cost?
No more than £2,000, and that's for a major brand.
Okay. What if I told you that Now, I know what I paid for my first 125, and it was brand new from the shops, right? And I did look it up. If you scale up the money, yeah. So because inflation has hit big time, right? It's kind of, I didn't think it'd be this much, right?
Right.
So my bike was about £1,600 brand new from the shops.
Back in the day.
Back in the day from P&H, right? Honda CG 125. the cheap commuting bike.
Yeah.
You know, really good cheap bike. Nowadays, how much was that? That's about $2,500.
Right,
That is. So that's, I'd say, about 2,000.
Okay, I suppose when you factor in inflation, we forget we're old. We forget,
Yeah.
you know, things go up. Yeah, $2,500.
$2,500. But remember that also, them bikes didn't have ABS. Oh, actually, no, you don't need ABS. Sorry, on 125s at the moment. But they are putting them on there. But they need to be fuel injected, not
Yeah.
carburettor now. So that's the big expense, which unfortunately pushes bikes up a little bit more, sort of thing. Because having something that's fuel injected is more expensive than having something that's like gravity-fed carburettor, essentially, isn't it?
I suppose so, but then I suppose if they're making millions of them, they've probably got the price down anyway.
They probably have got the price down now, yeah. So, but yeah, about $2,500. The only bikes that come into that category are the Chinese brands that can get close to it.
And like I said before, I don't blame anyone for buying Chinese, and there are some good, reputable Chinese manufacturers out there now. You know, Zhongshan factory. You just got to be very careful what you do buy.
The main problem is getting someone to work on them, because a lot of places don't like really working on them. The Chinese bikes sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking a Chinese 125, they are basically 10-year-old technology, most of them anyway, apart from the fuel injection. So
They're all basically Honda engines.
yeah, they're easy to fix. So I don't see why there's a problem with them. What the problem is when they launch a bike and they don't bring the spares availability packages with them.
No.
So the bike will be around for a year if you're lucky, and then they've just disappeared, that brand.
Yeah, that whole company's gone. But no, if you get like Lex Motor or something like that, something that's a bit more stable, then yeah, you're more likely to get the parts and stuff. But it's just they're cheap bikes. But the thing is, 125 bikes usually get abused anyway. Like I think the first year of owning a motorbike, I never lubed my motorcycle chain once.
No, well, I mean, it's the same for cars. You know, 17-year-olds or 18-year-olds, they're notoriously known for not doing any servicing or anything like that. You're hard on, you know, you're learning to drive. You're hard on your clutch. You're hard on your brakes. You're hard on the car. And
What do you mean checking tyre pressures? What do you do?
Exactly. I don't think anyone knows anymore.
Don't you just kick the tyres and say, yeah, that's good?
Well, they're black and round, that'll do. Yeah. But no, going back to like the Chinese bikes, and what I found with that scooter I had, it was a Neko, but it was the same as a Zhongshan, it was the same as a Lex Motor, it was the same as a Sinis, it was the same as this brand. So if you do your research,
They're just a re-stickered bike.
they basically are. It's like you know, Peugeot, Citroën, Renault, and all them manufacturers all in bed together. You get, they're called the PSA group, I think. You get one van, but just different badges and different headlights on them.
Yeah, essentially. But no, it's a shame though that's the price of entry, I guess. But you know, you can get a bike anyway. There is still some young riders out there who join every now and then, and the younger generation, as there's a few younger generations out there who join, and you know they'll get whatever. But everyone tells them. Like everyone around them tells them when they get it, oh, you shouldn't get a bike, you'll die. Like that's literally what it seems to be. There's a massive
It's all negative, isn't it?
It's so negative. Oh, you'll get a bike, you'll die. No, you'll get a bike, you actually. And there's a streamer, and I don't watch him. He came from a recommended months ago, because he's a biker. He bought a scooter,
Right.
and he's got a little Vespa. And he rides around with just like a helmet essentially and shorts and all that stuff, and he did buy a bigger bike as well, and he went to the shops and bought the bigger bike, and he didn't, and it's in America, so they get their license out of a box of, they get it free with a box of cereal, don't they?
Yeah, I think you have to collect 8 tokens. I'm not sure.
You get 8 tokens, you get your license. You basically show up, and I think you just do like a circle, and then that's it. Then you got your license.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he'd been riding around on his scooter for ages, and then he got his big bike, and then he didn't realise that people had to wear like loads of kit. And he's like, he saw this old guy come in, and he was just like shedding layers off. He goes, why has he got all these layers on? He goes, oh, the guy said to him, dress for the slide, not the ride, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes, that stuck with him. But you know, he's quite a young you know, I think he's probably like early 20s now, I think. Is Ludwig, I think his name is Ludwig, or something like that. Anyway, recently I think he had a crash. He had his first crash, and he was only on his Vespa. He was only going about 25 mile an hour, but he's still, like, you know, badly damaged his arm and all that stuff, and it hasn't put him off at all. Hasn't put him off at all. He says, no, I'm gonna. But how he got into bikes originally is because I don't know what happened, just a chance. He watched The Long Way Round.
Yeah.
From 2002 or whatever, when that was done, you know. So that series, maybe they should put that in school curriculum. That series still inspires bikers today to go out.
Yeah, I started watching it again over lockdown because, you know, nothing new was coming out, and I thought, I'll give that another watch. And although it's a little bit dated, it's still really, really good. I mean, the second one was rubbish when he wanted to take his wife. Oh, I'm Ewan McGregor. But anyway, but yeah, I like Charlie Borum. He's boring.
Boring. Charlie Borum.
No, he's not.
No, he's all right.
He's better than Ewan, to be honest. But no, I really enjoyed it, and that did get a lot of people, you know, into biking. And the person we're going to see today, hi Phil, you'll be watching this at some point, has just gone and bought a Ewan McGregor GS.
He's joined the GS, the gay squad.
He has. So yeah, sorry Phil, we don't like you anymore.
I've got 2 BMWs.
Sorry, Pezza. I've had BMWs. No, I'm joking.
No, my 650's been a really good bike, so I'm probably never going to get rid of that. So that's all right.
We've gone right off track here.
Yeah. Anyway, but it encourages people to get, you know, onto a bike. But like we was talking, he basically saw this. Him and his friend both going to get bikes. They both got bikes now, I think, and they're going to do a trip up the coast of America or something like that. And it's not going to be like a mega trip. I think, well, a mega trip for him is, you know, he's never done it before. 1,000 miles isn't to be, you know, if you've never done it before, that's a lot of miles, you know. I don't know how many miles it's going to be, but they're planning on this trip or whatever to do, and you know, they got all the kit and everything like that, and they're getting ready to go onto this trip. So there are people who are still interested in all that. Although when he first got it was like such a, like, all his fan base said, please don't get a bike, you're going to die, you know, all that stuff. They didn't want to see him basically dead, but even he said that unless you've never ridden a bike, you don't know. You know, once you get on it, it's fantastic. You know, you don't know.
No, I mean, if I talk about my biking career, so obviously I started off on scooters and mopeds like everyone else did, and then I was primarily always trolley bikes, that kind of stuff, and then I got into the sports bikes. You know, I was the weekend warrior, all levered up, going round, knee sliding everywhere, wheeling, doing all that, as you do. But my bike was literally take it out on a weekend, thrash the absolute F out of it, and then put it away for another week. And that was me for about 5 years. And then we all started growing up, having children, as you do. And then all of a sudden I've got a £5 bike sitting in this shed, garage, doing nothing. And it was better to have that money in my pocket. So I actually had, I took a bit of a holiday from biking, shall we say, and probably about 3 or 4 years. And then what got me back into it was I bought a C90 just for a laugh. And then all of a sudden the big bikes start coming back in. But what keeps me in biking now is not the weekend warrior. Some people it is. For me, it's the trips, it's the friendships you make, and it's such a good way to travel. You know, and tour. So that's my biking career. Weekend moped, off-roader, weekend warrior, pause, and then back to touring. So now I'm a touring kind of motorcyclist.
No, okay. I was a commuter. Yeah. I never did the weekend warrior stuff. I never went to a biking cafe. For the first 2 years of me riding, I never went to a bike. I literally just went to and from work, to the shops. That was it. I was just a commuter.
Oh no, I was riding from cafe to cafe as fast as I could.
Oh no, I didn't. Honestly, for the first 2 years, I didn't do anything. The next year after that, then I started to get a bit further and further afield. But I never went, like, the furthest I went was like Brighton and back. You know, I didn't go any further than that. And then I started going further and further. Once I got a bigger bike, I started going a bit more and more. And then I remember one year I must have done 16,000 miles in just my commuting, like Jesus. Just my, because I used to work about 30 miles from home.
Yeah, so 60-mile round trip a day.
Is it about 60 miles a day? Yeah, it all racks up, you know. It all added up. And then luckily where I am now, I kind of like I almost walk everywhere, because it's like, well, I've got a chance my bike could get nicked, so I don't bother always. If I know that I'm going to park my bike up for some time and leaving it for some time, I'll just I'll usually walk places if I need to around the town and stuff. But then I do, you know, I'll get the bike out on the weekend for one day maybe, or go off-roading. But like I say, a lot of it is trips. A lot of it's trips.
Well, for me, I mean, I enjoy all things motorcycle, but I do get a kick out of working on them, you know, and restoring or recommissioning, whatever you want to call it. I enjoy that side of it as well, the maintenance, and sometimes I want things to break just so I can fix them. Just keep yourself busy, sort of thing. It's just really hard though to encourage people do you want a vehicle that's high maintenance? But also I think that if people like camping, right, camping is a challenge. And I think there's people out there, you know, people who go into the army. If you notice that there's a lot of bikers out there who are also like used to be in the army or are in the army. There's a lot of them, and I think a part of it is you need to have a bit of a screw loose, and you also have to want a challenge. And cars, not really a challenge sort of thing. It's kind of like everyone's got a car, everyone, you know. But with a bike, it's a challenge just to get on the bike. They're more engaging to ride. You have to have your wits about you. You have to, you know, dress accordingly. You can't just like jump on a bike and go. You know, there is a bit of like just a couple of checks you need to do, sort of thing. You know, is your chain slack and all that, or just like being able to live with the bike on a day-to-day basis. There's a bit more of a challenge involved than a car. You can't just like put your bag in the back of a car and just go. You have to like really think about it more, don't you? So, especially if you're doing travelling as well. But it's also the kind of vehicle it is. So if you look at a 40-year-old 125 and a brand new 125, what advancement in technology have they got in terms of safety? They've not got ABS.
Not always. Some of the new ones have.
Some have.
They don't need them.
They may have linked brakes and they've got fuel injection and maybe discs rather than drums. But apart from that, there's no advancements. But if you look at a mediocre car 40 years ago to a mediocre car now,
ABS, airbags, traction control, you've got mirrors that tell you there's someone on your inside not to pull out, you've got lane assist, you've got cruise control, you've got this, you've got that. So there's a lot more driver aids, and that's why a lot of people, young people, can't drive cars, because they haven't driven cars with no ABS, none of this, none of that. And that's why I think, you know, you need to be mechanically minded. The generation today, they are, I'm trying to think, they're like a computer generation. They're computer minded, but they're not mechanically minded. A lot of people basically, if they try something and if they're not good at it immediately, then they give up on it. Do you know, there's like a lot of people who will like try something, and if they're not good at it within like an hour or so, then it's like, oh, I'm not going to get this. They give up and go on to something else, and I think that's a big like thing. But there's a lot, you know, if you're also like someone who's a bit like ADHD, then a bike actually might be good for you, because there's so much going on a bike, you know, that it keeps your mind busy.
Well, what I was trying to get to with, you know, the difference between a bike 40 years ago and now is you need more about you to ride one than you do to drive a car. You know, you need to have more awareness, you need to have I can't put it into words, but it's so easy to jump into a car and drive a car and not even think. I mean, I'm driving down the motorway at 70 miles an hour talking to a wooden ruler. By the way, it's wooden, not steel.
Yeah, we're wooden now.
It's just so easy to do. But you know, you could probably drive a car and juggle. You need more about you. You need more sense to ride a motorcycle than you do to drive a car, in my mind. But that brings you on to what I just said about the younger generation. They're very technology based. Do you think they're going to be the future generation but on electric bikes?
Well, yeah, that's kind of like almost a turn off almost. I think most people don't. I think most people don't actually. I think the people who are getting into bikes don't particularly they just want electric cars, to be honest. And I think they like the electric cars and stuff. But I don't know if they'd get. I think the only thing they want electric is the bicycles.
Yeah, we see the thing is that the motorbikes, they don't really scale up in terms of the amount of batteries you can take and the weight the motorcycle is and the distance you'll travel, where push bikes do.
They can go like 40 mile an hour or even 70, some of them, and they can go for quite many miles because they're so light.
Yeah,
they can go for many miles without on a single charge.
I mean, I'm not interested at all in electric bikes. Even as a commuter, I wouldn't be interested unless they do what they do in like China or Japan. What I've seen is you've got a scooter with battery packs. You can ride along. Your batteries run out. There's a docking station. You swap your batteries and carry on. I think that's a brilliant idea.
So do you think we'd have actually encouraged anyone? But how? We haven't actually. I think the only way you can really encourage riders is if you've got a son or you've got friends or whatever. I think everyone should just go and get a CVT. Even if you're not going to get into biking, even if you're not going to get into biking, I think everyone should just give a CVT a try, even if they don't pass it or don't complete. So you can't fail at a CVT. You might not complete a CVT, or you might not ride a bike up to the snuff that up to the standard that the examiner is going to allow you to complete the test.
Yeah.
Or complete the course, because it's compulsory bike training, not a test. But if everyone does that, then that automatically makes you a safer car driver, because you'd be looking for bikes more.
Yeah, you've got bike awareness around you. Now, I don't know if you know, but I actually did CVTs. So
what? Training them?
Training them, yeah.
Oh.
So I wasn't accredited or anything, but a friend of mine owned Southwood's Motorcycle Training Centre, and on the weekends I would go and help, and we only ever had one that failed the CVT and had to come back and do another road ride.
I did that. I didn't complete my CVT the first time, but I never rode a bike before that day. I was 17. I didn't know anything.
I don't know how to encourage. Like I say, you can only do it through word of mouth. I've encouraged a couple of people I work with to get onto a bike. I think it's 2 people have got on, one I'm still working on. But yeah, I think the more you can do, or I can do, with showing your trips, showing your videos, showing what motorcycles are about, I think the better. Yeah,
true. The other thing is, the downside is it's the actual companies themselves, like Kawasaki, Honda, all this stuff. When you go to the cinema, well, I don't really go anymore, but when you used to go to cinema, or even if you watch television, which I don't really do anymore either, adverts. I never see motorbike adverts. If you're on television, you never see motorbike adverts, and in the cinema, you always see a car advert play, don't you?
Yeah, it's maybe because of the cost of advertising, and we are a 1% group.
Yeah, so why would they spend money to advertise? Honda kind of touch on it briefly in some of their adverts, because everything they do goes into everything they do and stuff, doesn't it? Yeah. So that they do some quite interesting adverts. It's they make motorbikes, but there's not a lot of motorbike adverts anywhere. The only time we see a motorbike advert on television is basically one of them think bike things where you see a bike getting into a horrible accident.
Absolutely right. Yes, that doesn't really play.
The government hate us.
Well, they do, but
look out for bikes, because they cause an accident which causes congestion.
Yeah, but you look at these Asian cities around the world where it's just bikes everywhere. You imagine if everyone had a car rather than a bike, no one would go anywhere. So they are good for congestion.
Or the other thing is, the other problem that we have is in London now. A lot of where I used to commute to in London, it used to be free parking for bikes.
Right.
Now it's all not. Now you have to pay for bikes as well. And I was like, what do you mean you have to pay? You have to pay for bikes here now?
I heard they started that. I saw it on the news or somewhere. I read it, but yeah, I've heard they started doing that.
So it's it was quicker to go on the bike than it was on the train. It was funnier because I had someone who used to commute from Leatherhead into London, and I was quicker going from where I live down in Gatwick to London, and I was quicker on the bike than I was on the trains and tubes. That's mental, isn't it?
Well, that's the government for you. They change all the incentives all the time. So electric cars, free road tax. not from February next year or March.
April.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So I think I honestly don't know how we can really encourage new riders. There's too many downsides. We're kind of screwed. If anyone can think of anything good, I don't know, man. Everyone should take every friend they have and at least get them onto a CVT, because it's a day course. It's 200 quid. Just go and do it. Everyone should just go do a CVT, and then from there decide what you want to do. You know.
Well,
I think that's the only way you
should treat the CVT like a track day.
Yeah, go and do it.
Like one of these gift experiences.
Experience. Yeah. You start for Christmas this year. Buy your friends a CVT voucher.
I reckon that's a good idea.
There we go. That's the Christmas gift. Anyway, that's my idea. Leave your thoughts below, and I guess like, comment, whatever, if you want to see more of these videos. I don't know, and maybe we'll do more. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching.
Ciao
Bye.
for now.
Bye.
Bye.